What up? I got a minute. Okay, so it's your boy K-Blao Hood X. You know what it is. Rolling this split real quick. This is Fire Signs and Risks Part 2. Now, fire signs. I'm really starting to see how y'all think more and more the more I listen to y'all talk. And they're like, I have a video on my page somewhere called Niggas and Dopamine. You know what I'm saying? Why we talking about dopamine receptors. And I was saying in that video how um, dopamine receptors is based on uh, the ability to kind of basically, in a nutshell, like facial expressions. I mean, like if you watch my face long enough, I start doing all shit like this. I'm like, oh, no, no, like this is why actors. This is the difference between making a good actor and a bad actor based on like the facial expressions that they can make, because facial expressions get the dopamine receptors moving more than any other thing. Like you see what I'm saying? And movements. Like if you saw my hands, my fingers, or if I put my toes up, like if I was to, I'm not gonna try to show you my feet. I believe in I have fucking very ugly feet. I hate my feet. But you know, like when you see kids' toes, or when you see like a baby smiling at you, you know, this stuff that trigger dopamine receptors. Fire signs got this, I think, more than any other signs that like they think in people per se. It's kind of hard concept to imagine, but like I kind of see that. Like, you know, this is why I see in Hood we got a concept called bastard language lick. It's the first lick. It's like you got to understand that the 26 letters and 9 numbers that I'm using to communicate with you is not going to take you to the thought. What is translate? What am I when you talk? What are you really doing? What the fuck? You translating words. You're taking words and describing an action 9 times out of 10. So like if I say run, or if I say walk, or if I say invest, if I said buy something, like what am I actually doing? I'm taking letters and attaching it onto human action. So if I say punch and you picture somebody punching, you know, this is a punch. So you don't typically think when you say punch, you typically don't think of the letters Punch. What do you think of? You think of a punch. Like in your mind's eye, you kind of see a swing, like you see somebody punching. Like you don't think of the letters. As I'm talking to you, you're not spelling out each letter as I'm saying it for saying in your head. There's actions associated to each word. So you might use it's really kind of a combination of both. Like you sometimes you see the letters, sometimes you see the word. But I think fire signs typically see like the actions of the word more so than the word itself. So like this is why it's difficult to get them to listen to you. Like when they're excited, they don't really hear the words coming out your mouth. Like they kind of they looking for the actions behind the words. So if you're using words that don't have a lot of vibration behind them, if they don't have a lot of action behind them, then that shit can put a fire sign directly to sleep. They like high frequency words like run, turn up. You know what I'm saying? Man, we was drunk as hell. We was fucked up, man. Oh man, so many people there. Like, you know, highly exaggerated words. Like, you know, typically big words don't hold a big frequency. Like, you know, so that's going to get you to start thinking. How do I even explain this, man? Like, there's a when you first start studying astrology, that's a perfect example. You see what I'm saying? When you first start studying astrology, you don't know the difference between a Pisces and a Virgo, or a Aquarius and a Leo, or a fucking Sagittarius and a Gemini. Like you don't fucking know. You think all people are the same, but like when you first start studying astrology, you be going to sleep. You know what I'm saying? You might fall asleep or start nodding off, or you might think it's boring in the beginning because it's like learning a new language. You don't know what the fuck this shit means. So like, you know, the concept of attaching uh initially the words of attaching words and characteristics on the people, it can be boring at first until something clicks, and then like fire signs can become obsessed with this shit, and they're like, what are you doing? You're throwing words on actions that like typically don't have names for, or you have to search a lot more difficult to find names for these words. So you say Virgo, you know, Sagittarius, you know, you what are you doing? You're really labeling a brand of human. So, you know, at first this can be seem boring to a fire sign like the actual do it, but like once they know it, they be on it. You know, and but the concept of sitting a fire sign down and teaching them astrology is almost impossible. You know what I'm saying? In the beginning, like if they don't know nothing about it. But once they know, they'll be right there with you. Hold on one second. So, man, come on, man. So, um, my channel has a lot of quote unquote science in the regards of like words, you know, throwing words on actions that typically, you know, are very hard to describe. Um, this is very boring at first. You know, a lot of things about, you know, astrology too is that like you forget what you was like before you knew. Like you ever like you've been studying, I don't know, like if you kind of new to this or if you like a noob, then you really can't relate. But like I know like I've been studying this shit so long, like it's hard for me to even remember what I was like before I started studying this information. So you start studying this information because you're trying to decrease risk. So fire signs, it's not like, you know what I'm saying, it's kind of like water signs. That's why I say a lot of times, man, fire signs, believe it or not, are a lot like water signs in certain ways. In that, you know, the concept of studying astrology to decrease risk. You know what I'm saying? It's like they probably don't even want to know that shit. And it's the same thing when I say about studying stocks and trading stock options. Isn't it like I have a whole other page, corporate algorithm, that I've been promoting, you know, subconsciously through this week on this channel. And then like, you know, I got a couple fire sign friends, like, you know what I'm saying, my nigga Mako, shout out Mako, you know what I'm saying, he a Leo. You know what I'm saying? This nigga called me today. He was like, man, you know, the big three coming to Chicago in at the end of June. You know, we get some t-shirts and get out there and move them and promote them and shit. You know what I'm saying? And my I was like, cool, we could do that. You know what I'm saying? Like it'll cost us about maybe 100, $200 to get some shirts, get out there in the streets, sell them. And like you probably make a profit. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I told him I was like, man, you could spend $60, $70 right now on a put on GameStop stock because they said earlier they stock is dropping. You know what I'm saying? You can sell a put. You know what I'm saying, to make about $400 profit for, you know what I'm saying, only risk less, you know, risk about $100. Now to him, you should really stop and think of those two images. Like the shit I suggest to him don't involve no people. It don't involve like getting out there meeting people, talking to people, and like it's less. It's a even though there's a risk there, it's a lot less risk. It's a lot less capital involved. You know what I'm saying? You're talking 60 to $100. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of research that's involved in this trade. That's boring as fuck. It's not sexy to a fire sign. You see what I'm saying? He's like, man, well, let's go get some money and get on the streets and sell these t-shirts. Now, I bought my first house selling movies, so I know the concept of law averages and selling shit on the street. You know, so I've been doing this shit for a long time. But like, given a choice between selling CDs on the street for the rest of my life or learning the trade options, I instantly realized that like, okay, I need to start, you know, looking for a better source of income than selling shit on the street. Fire signs ain't do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Certain people like this, you know how to know when to get in the game and know when to get out of the game. Like a fire sign motherfucker be the motherfucker who stay in the game. Like they motherfuckers who got like Pablo Escobar, perfect example. Like this motherfucker rich as hell built the whole company still selling drugs and killing people. It's like, Joe, you could stop now. You know what I'm saying? But like fire signs will keep going. You know, like I said, I knew a Sagittarius guy saying shit. This dude used to get thousands and thousands of dollars doing taxes. You know, what I'm saying, I used to try to tell him the same thing, man. invest in a house. I can show you how to get a house for like fucking like $2,000-$3,000 at the time. You know, now the lick kind of gone. It's like back in the days you can get a car for like $500. You know what I'm saying? Now you get a car, you can get a decent car for about $1,000, $1,500, but like you ain't gonna get the same lick you used to get back then, like $500 cars. You can get it back then. You know what I'm saying? Like the same shit back then. You get a house for like fucking 2-3 grand. Now you can get a house, depending on where you look, it maybe 7 to 10, maybe like 15, somewhere between like $7,000 to $15,000. You know what I'm saying? Foreclosed if you look good enough. You have to fix it up and stuff. Depending on how much work you want to put in. You know what I'm saying? But same shit. He didn't want to hear that shit. What did he do? He went out and put a lease on a fucking 2000 and whatever year that was car. You see what I'm saying? Like that. Like right now it's 2018. I'm like, hey man, you know, given how you can buy this foreclosed house, or you put a lease on this motherfucking 2018 car. Like they gonna choose the motherfucking 2018 car. You know, they'll tell you, oh no, I'm gonna get the house. You know, I'd rather buy the house. It's like nah, cause like unless you can move in, like that's the shit. When you buy a foreclosed house, it takes time to get it up to, you know what I'm saying? It takes time to get it fixed up and stuff like that before you can actually move in there. You know what I'm saying? And make it yours. So like, you know, a lot of times fire signs, especially Aries, they need shit to have the right thing. That's like shoot now, ask questions later. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I can't move in there right now, then I'm not, you know what I'm saying, I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So like, they need that immediate payoff. That's why, you know, it's the concept of trading stocks, stuff like that. Same shit. It's not sexy to them. You don't set off the images and their dopamine receptors in that there's no immediate payoff. This is why a lot of times fire signs can be can be attracted to selling drugs and you know what I'm saying, you know, just quick flips like my stepmom called she Leo. She called it hoodwink. You know what I'm saying? Like hoodwink shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Instead of like long term learning, like going to school, getting an education, getting a PhD and shit like this. Like a lot of times fire signs, they need that immediate payoff, or like they'll even use shit to, you know what I'm saying, get in the way of that, and they're like partying, hanging out all night, shit like that. Like a lot of fire signs who are in school, who are in college, stuff like that, like they had them long nights, so they call burning the candle at both ends. You know, hence the fire sign shit, and then like it's increased. So even when you do get that low risk shit, you still get them introducing high risk shit into low risk shit, and they're like, you know what I'm saying? On my channel, I have a specific way on how to trade options. It's like, look, all you gotta do is do this every day, and it's gonna work. A fire sign and like an air sign too. Like, believe it or not, they gonna move in between. They gonna try to move in between. They literally do not have that ability to like sit there and repeat that same trade over and over. Like they gonna go off and do some other shit. They're gonna increase risk into that type of trade. And also too, you gotta consider like this being a lifestyle, and then like, you know, the spouse that they choose. Like a lot of times when fire signs come to me advice, or you know what I'm saying, about their spouse, it'd be hard for me to give them advice, and then like, you know what I'm saying, the same shit that piss them off kind of turn them on in a certain regard. So it's like they'll come at you like, man, I fucking hate my spouse. You know what I'm saying, I'm about to leave this motherfucker. And then like you kind of want to tell them like, okay, maybe that's the best thing to do. But then like in there you can kind of hear it's like, man, they attracted to that shit. Like my stepfather, you know what I'm saying, he's a Sagittarius. Him and my mom, they fucking go. They say the most ruthless, bogus shit to each other like every fucking day. And he threatens to leave her like every day. This has been going on for like the past 20 years. You know what I'm saying? But that's what the fuck they feed off that energy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, to me as an air sign, it's a foreign thought. So like, just as soon as you want to say, man, like maybe y'all should break up for a little while. You know what I'm saying? You realize is that like, to them that's boring. Like I can't really give them that advice. Like, you know what I'm saying? That like maybe you should take some time out and get your life together so you can move at a more stable pace in your relationship. Like that's boring to them. Like they go to sleep in the middle of me even saying that shit. That's what I said last time. I'd be like, damn, like, okay, so like I have to uh change my angle on the advice that I give the fire signs a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? That's why I listen to them a lot, and I really try to learn from fire signs more so than like trying to correct them or fix them. You know what I'm saying? Because they gonna do shit they way anyway. So a lot of times I'll be like, okay, I don't want to come off boring. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm a listen. You know what I'm saying? Because my advice a lot of times I'm fully aware that like my advice does not. It's like they like risk. They like the bullshit. Like they like, you know what I'm saying, dealing with people. And then like, mind you, like a lot of part of me is like trading stocks, putting out these blogs, stuff like that. Like y'all see me a lot of times I'm by myself. I'm not around a lot of people trying to, make shit out. Like I'll be trying to figure out how to do this myself. This is called Sigma, the Sigma male. You can look this shit. A lot of Aquarius are Sigma, and then like we kind of go the opposite way. You know what I'm saying? So I'm comfortable being by myself. I'm comfortable in quiet time learning how to, new trade strategies, new techniques, stuff like that. This is also in air sign. They call this Four of Swords. You know what I'm saying? But that's not really what you get with fire signs. You get like, look at, like I said, the Five of Wands. That's a uh, bunch of kids, trying to hit each other with sticks and shit like that. And it's like from a distance, it look like they're trying to whoop each other ass, but when you get up close, you realize they just playing. So like I said, this is like literally like WWE. When you first turn to WWE, you see people getting body slammed and shit like that left and right. But when you look close, you see that they're not really trying to hurt each other. They just kind of like, it's scripted. They kind of playing. So, like sports, when you watch sports, boxing, you see each other punching each other, or MMA, they killing each other, and then at the end they get up and hug each other, and it's like, what the fuck, like, how is this a living? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, to a fire sign, it makes sense, but like, to somebody like me, an air sign or some shit like that, I would kind of look at that like, hey, like, I ain't gonna do no shit like that. Like, I'm gonna try to figure out how to make some money right online, doing some trades or some shit like that, or like, blogging and, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna fucking do no shit like that, but like, the same shit like you see motherfuckers doing manual labor and shit like I got, you know what I'm saying, it's just two fire signs, a Leo and an Aries. The motherfuckers that work on my roof. You know what I'm saying? They do all my roofing work for me. You know what I'm saying? Same shit. They'll be out on the roof all fucking day, walking around on the goddamn roof, getting drunk as hell, hammering away and loud ass music and shit. And it's like, I be looking at them like, Joe, what the fuck? Why the fuck would anybody want to do this? But like to them, it's they shit. And it's like, man, you standing on the roof at any given moment, you can see drunk as hell, you slip and fall off this motherfucking roof anymore. But it's like they've been doing this shit for the past fucking 30 years. And it's what they do. To them it makes sense. So, like I said, imagine me sitting there trying to explain to them, like, okay, like, you ain't got to do this. All you got to do is learn how to, do a couple of trades like this, and money will come right into your motherfucking account. And it's like, to them, that shit is boring. And I be like, how the fuck is that boring? And like, and mind you, people in stock trades, they say this shit all the time. They be like, making money should be boring. Stock trading should be boring. And then like, you don't want a lot of risk. You don't want a lot of rowdiness. You don't want a lot of, craziness and hype, because you don't make money off hype. And mind you, this is the total opposite of like Timothy Sykes. You know what I'm saying? He give you this advice, saying shit like he trade penny stock. You study Timothy Sykes, who's a Aries, study his stock trading method, and compare it to somebody like Tom Solzhenitsyn. You know what I'm saying? He's the guy who created Thinkorswim. He's a Pisces. He's born March 6th. He's fucking genius. You know what I'm saying? He has a totally different trading strategy than Tim Sykes. His is like over fucking 80%. It's like 80% less risk. You know what I'm saying? Trading options in the way that he teaches you, versus like Tim Sykes, who's teaching you to trade off of hype, which is like penny stock promotions. And they're like, it's literally what we talk about in this video. It's like penny stock promoters put out these promotions called pump and dumps. It's like, okay, this is shitty ass stock. So they'll hire a promoter. They'll give him like fucking 10, 20, 30 grand or something like that to put out blogs. Said, hey, this stock is about to shoot up. It's about to shoot up. So, all these new people who don't know how to trade stocks, they buy in thinking it's going to go up, and it does, and it shoots up. And then all of a sudden, like, they'll just dump the stock. Like, you'll see motherfuckers dump 100,000 shares or 50,000 shares right back into the market after it went up like, fucking 70, 80%. You know what I'm saying? It only costs a couple of pennies to get in, so it shoot up and then they just dump it right off. So all the people who bought in lose that support, so the whole shit just tanks. You know what I'm saying? And they lose all that. All the people who bought in high, you know what I'm saying? Think, oh my God, it's going up. And they buy in. It's like, boom, it go right back down. You lose all that fucking money. You know what I'm saying? So what Tim Sykes do, he short it. It's called short. You buy on the way down. You kind of wait for it to start toppling, and then you just short it all the way down. So you make all that money come back down, because he knows, he's like, it's not a matter of if it's going down. It's a matter of when it's going down, because like, these are shitty businesses. These businesses suck. They're just doing some hype shit. You know what I'm saying? To do a pump and dump. And he shorts the dumps on the way down. It's fucking brilliant philosophy toward trading. And him as an Aries, that's why I could kind of see him embracing that philosophy, because he understands bullshit promotion. So like, you feel what I'm saying? So he's gonna give you that advice, but that's not good trading advice at all. Like to somebody who's brand new trading stocks, it sounds like a brilliant strategy, but it's not. because you don't know the hype, and then like some of these hypes could be real shit, and then like you might fuck around and lose some money. So you know, but there's a different philosophy, it's just a different way of life. That's what works for him. He has a what's called a high risk tolerance, which is what a lot of firesides do. They have a high risk tolerance. So you know, if you don't know this shit, I get the fuck out of it. If you don't know this shit, you know what I'm saying? You be with a fire sign motherfucker, and like you be sitting there trying to like get them out of that lifestyle and get them out the game, like to get them out the game, and they be married to the game. Yeah, you gonna definitely have a problem trying to coach them to do that shit. And like I said, you look at a lot of the businesses Jay-Z had, he's never really had a successful business, like never. You know what I'm saying? Um, Rockefeller is quote unquote successful because it was three partners involved. But like once he left there and you start working with Def Jam, that shit didn't work. You know what I'm saying? You did Rock La Familia, that didn't work. It took a while as Jay-Z, even with Tidal, he lost a lot of money with Tidal. You know what I'm saying? He's a billionaire from his music sales and stuff like that. But as far as his businesses, like Jay-Z is not a good businessman. Vince McMahon, who runs fucking WWE, he's a Virgo. But you know what I'm saying? If you look at the his business practices, you see that like he's never uh like giving into the hype of things. And then like if you study like what Vince McMahon did back, and I don't want to get too deep into this, you know what I'm saying? But like he really understood this. He really could separate like the hype of wrestling and then like the business of wrestling. Like he was one of the fucking geniuses, pioneers who did that shit. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of fire signs fall into the hype of whatever it is that they doing, more so than the business. So if you're an artist, you know what I'm saying, you gonna be uh starving artist. If you a fucking uh promoter, like a lot of times motherfuckers be a janky promoter. You know what I'm saying? Because they more into the hype than the business. So they just want to throw a party. So they'll throw a fucking $2,000-$3,000 party saying that they're gonna make all this money in it because that's how I look in their mind. But then, at the end of the month, they don't have their fucking rent money because they blew all their fucking rent money on a fucking $2,000-$3,000 party, and you be with them. You know what I'm saying? And you be like, and then they sitting there looking at you like, okay, well, I'm gonna need you to get out there and make some money to pay the rent. And like, you be like, man, what the fuck? Like, and this goes on and on and on and on. I know, several Sagittarius like you know, say my stepfather's Sagittarius, and they had this shit bad. He had this shit bad. Like every time my mom tried to make a business move, she had to line it up to some type of like mania that was going on in his mind. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was always in a state of mania, manic. You know what I'm saying? So like the concept of an influx of money coming in shook his frequency to the core where like, you know, he had a small tank. Like a lot of times fire signs have what's called a small tank. And then like they say the average person typically don't have more than $700-$800 in their bank account. And that's what's called like a safety zone. And then like when you look in your bank account, you see anything above like 700-800 bucks, you start tweaking. Like you gonna splurge, you're like, okay, I can get this, I can get this, I can get this. It ain't until like the shit hit like 700-800, you gonna be like, oh shit, okay, I gotta pay the rent. I gotta like your rent, whatever your rent is. Like if your rent is about 1,000, like typically your bank account is gonna be right around like where your rent is. Anything above that, you're gonna tweak. So and it's called a short tank. I mean a tank. And then like this cup versus like this cup. Obviously I can fit more water in here, or we call money in here than in here. You know what I'm saying? This is a bigger tank. So like, you know what I'm saying? Fire signs a lot of times they got a tank like this, and then like because of the height, like the height make they cup like this. So when you go pour money in here, it's only so much that can fit until it's gonna naturally overflow into a bigger cup like this because these motherfuckers have a bigger tank. And like that's what fire signs like times they gotta work on expanding their tank. And like um if you think small, you get small results. You know what I'm saying? If you hang out with people who are doing janky promotions and shit like this, you know what I'm saying? That's what the fuck you go get. Like, you know what I'm saying? Follow people who are millionaires. Like, you know what I'm saying? Look at the people. Like, come on, everybody heard this shit. If you hang around 4 broke people, you're gonna be the 5th one. If you hang around 5 rich people, you're gonna be the 5th one. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, look at your mentors. You know what I'm saying? Are your mentors giving you business strategies? Are they giving you safe long-term business strategies? You know what I'm saying? Do they have what you trying to get? And did they go, you know what I'm saying? Did they have to, do some crazy shit to get it? You know what I'm saying? Like, Start paying attention to detail, man, to the people who you listen to and the people you get your advice from. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're in your 30s and you know what I'm saying, your 40s and shit like that. Like, start looking at the choices that you're making. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and y'all, I know a lot of times shit be a waste of time. You be telling this shit too far. I really just trying to put this content out as a journal and also for the people who wear the fire sign. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, so the best advice I give you is like, man, like start, you know, um, becoming your own resource. Stop depending on these other people that don't have your way of looking at things. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is so fucking key. You depending on somebody who got a whole nother way of life, looking at life. So like, it's better to respect the way people look at life and just, maintain your, you know what I'm saying, your foundation. Keep building your foundation brick by brick every day. Earth sign shit, man. Respect Scrooge. You know, um, yes, stop gambling and start investing. It's the best advice I can give fire signs. Or if you with a fire sign, you know what I'm saying, start investing in yourself. And check out my other channel, Corporate Algorithm. Obviously, you know what I'm saying. I hope you can check it out and learn something from that. All right, subscribe to my other channel. You did. I'm out of here.